Now, my next guest's 35-year-old son is not among the hostages being released today as part of that deal that was brokered by Qatar with Hamas. Jonathan Dekel-Chen joins us now. Jonathan, thank you for making time for us.
Thank you for hosting me.
First, I want to begin with your reaction to, of course, the scene that we just witnessed unfolding, the release of those hostages.
Well, I think, speaking for myself, and I'm sure everyone in Israel, I'm overjoyed that these, what appear to be 13 children and young mothers have been released. Keep in mind that 75 of the hostages held by Hamas are from my kibbutz, from my small farming community on the border with Gaza, that were abducted on October 7th, in addition to the 28 people from our community murdered that day. So it's very likely, I certainly hope, that some, at least of the 13 released just now, are family friends and young people that I saw growing up around me, my children's friends and my grandchildren's friends. So that alone is a reason for celebration.
Of course, somewhat bittersweet, because as we touched on, your son, Sagi, was taken hostage over 6 weeks ago. He's not part of this transfer that's taking place today. So how are you reacting to that? What gives you some hope?
Well, I have to have hope. I think all the hostage families must retain hope. I have the hope that he'll be coming home soon and will embrace his young daughters and his wife and that new baby that's on the way. But alongside that joy at the release of these hostages, and perhaps more to come in the coming days, we are absolutely committed to getting all of the hostages, all of the 290. And keep in mind, if these 50 are in fact released over the next couple of days, there's still 190 Israeli civilian hostages being held by Hamas. And this conflict will not be over until all of them are home, whether it's through negotiations with Hamas, through Qatar or any other party, or through military action. It is a moral imperative for Israel to get all of these hostages back to their families.
You know, Jonathan, I'm a parent too, and I'm watching you speak to me with so much strength, and I am wondering where you're getting this strength from.
I want my son home. I want him reunited with his family. He has an awful lot to contribute to the world. He's contributed a lot, as is in his short life so far, and that's what keeps me going. Of course, there are darker hours, but I think as any parent would, I'm doing everything that I know how to do to get him and the other 239 hostages home, whether it's speaking about this with the media or campaigning with our own government in Israel, the U.S. government, and other friendly governments to partner in getting this release, or at the very, very least, and getting signs of life, proof of life, by way of the Red Cross or by any other means. And that is the dilemma that we face. Beyond the 13 that are going to be or have been released, for the vast majority of the hostage families, Hamas is not allowed Red Cross visits. We have no idea what the condition of our loved ones is.
And of course, we continue to watch those images at the Rafah border crossing. Of course, you know the route that we know these hostages are taking, and that's Gaza to that Rafah border crossing in Egypt, and then into an air base, into hospitals in and around the Tel Aviv area. Certainly, as you've discussed, members of your community, those who know they have family members, and those who don't, but very pleased, encouraged that there has been this release. I also want to take a moment as we continue to monitor these live images from the Rafah border crossing. I want to take a moment for you to tell us a little bit about your son. I understand he's a dad. He's got a family too. Tell us a little bit more about Sagi.
Well, Sagi is the father of two beautiful little girls, aged 2 and 6. His wife, Avital, is due to give birth to their third daughter in the next couple of weeks. Sagi is a resident of Kibbutz Nir Oz, as am I and other family members. He was a cherished part of our community. So he is a builder and a creator. He's been that his entire life. Over the last 9 years, he's been a national project coordinator for a transnational philanthropic organization that funds and oversees large social justice projects in Israel that are for the betterment of Jewish and non-Jewish communities in Israel. And he and his wife are also entrepreneurs sort of on the side. And his big love is to convert old buses, municipal buses, old airport buses, into usable objects, and started out um, remaking old buses into mobile grocery stores to serve food deserts in communities that are food deserts in the southern part of the country. And the morning that he was abducted, he was working on a new stage in this business of his, working with an Israeli nonprofit to create mobile technology classrooms that would go around Bedouin and Jewish communities in the South where such facilities don't exist for high quality technological education. So Israel and Gaza, I'm sure, would be much better served by having Sagi do his work than being a hostage of a savage terrorist organization.
Jonathan, you're clearly a very proud father, as you should be. A reminder for our viewers that are looking at these images, these are images of the Rafah border crossing, I believe there is what we're looking at. And we know that hostages have made it across into Egypt. They will be transferred to Israeli custody. They will go through medical testing. They will be transferred to an airbase and then head over to hospitals. The timeline, of course, of all of this is very fluid in terms of how long it will take then for those hostages to reach their families. And Jonathan, I want to ask you this final question. I imagine that you have pictured in your mind the moment that you hope for when you are reunited with your son. And for many people, that might be happening in the next hour or so. And so I'm wondering if you can tell me how you imagine this unfolding, something, of course, you've imagined for all of these family members who must be eagerly awaiting for their family members.
Well, what I visualize and what keeps me going is the day that I hope is very, very near, when his Sagi's two little daughters run and leap into his arms, and they have their dad back. Even if we don't really have homes to go back to, given that the kibbutz was destroyed, to have their dad, and that's the most important thing.
Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for making time to speak with us today. I know it's a difficult day, so thank you.
Thank you very much.